How many of you have ever seen just a hint of sibling rivalry? It happens in every family, but in this family, it's extremely intense. This is not just some run-of-the-mill sibling rivalry. No, there's no subtleties here. There's no subtleties, no argument. Joseph is Jacob's favorite. When Joseph would walk into the room, his dad's eyes would light up. His face would glow. In social settings, Joseph was the one his dad bragged about. Joseph got to stay up later, play longer, stay on his tablet longer. He got to work less, get away with more than any of the rest of them. And the favoritism was obvious. And then one day, Jacob, he just took it over the top. Jacob gave Joseph a robe, a very famous robe. You know what it's called. The robe, the coat of many colors. This was an open, visible, in-your-face expression to his family, Jacob's family, of favoritism. Every time Joseph wears the robe, and he wears it a lot because it makes him feel special. Joseph liked to strut around with the robe. Every time he wears it, it's a punch in the gut to the brothers, who are reminded that they will never be loved by their father like Joseph is loved by their father. James 3:16 says, "For where envy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder." When you see families that are in disorder, it has a lot to do with jealousy and envy. Jealousy is universal and is most often it leads to tragic outcomes if left unchecked. Envy is why Saul was trying to kill David. Jealousy, envy, it destroys communities, families, churches, hearts, and I guarantee if you don't check it in your own heart, it will affect your friendships, marriages, it'll affect all your relationships. We've all got some dings from imperfect families, because there's no family perfect. And that's true, all of us, and we just need to realize that. But I want to talk to some of you who are watching this who have had more than dings, but you've had some real deep hurts. I want to speak in these last moments to three categories of people. The first one is those of you who never got to wear a robe. Some of you never received the kind of affirmation and love from your parents that you longed for. You've never had that sense of being prized and valued. Maybe for reasons you understand or reasons you don't understand, but you never wore the robe. Here's a few things I just want to share with you. Number one, I believe at some point in your life, hopefully now, if it hasn't happened to you yet, here it is. You need to acknowledge the hurt. You need to acknowledge it because it's real. Come face to face with the pain that you never wore the robe. If it's possible for you, and maybe it's not, but if it's possible, I encourage you today to acknowledge the pain of the love that you have longed for. Do you know in Joseph's family, reconciliation finally happened? It took 20 years, but it did happen. Maybe you'll take that risk today. If it's appropriate with someone in your family, maybe you can take the first steps of reconciliation and acknowledge the hurt. And if for some reason, because of death or because it's not safe to do so, at least acknowledge it to yourself, to God, and to a close, confidential friend, a mentor who can pray with you. But acknowledge the hurt. There's freedom in that. 2, if you've never worn the robe, just renounce envious action. Just renounce it today because it's getting you nowhere. Just renounce envious action because children who never wore the robe are set up for jealousy and envy. Maybe just take a vow today. I will not give in to the temptation to gossip, backbite, tear down other people, or try to hurt the ones I envy. And then 3rd, if you've never worn the robe, you need to learn to receive God's love and acceptance. Receive His unconditional, non-partial love. Memorize this, 1 John 3:1. Here it is on the screen. 1 John 3:1. How great is the love the Father has lavished on us that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. Make it personal. I'll make it personal. How great is the love the Father has lavished on me that I, Ken Burkey, should be called a child of God. For that is what I am. Say it again, but put your name in there. How great the love the Father has lavished on you, that you, say your name, should be called a child of God, because that is who you are. The second category, real quickly, of the people I want to talk to is for some of you who did wear the robe. You wore the robe. You were in Joseph's position. You were the favorite, and the family kind of revolved around you. Just 2 words for you real quickly. Humble yourself. Don't flaunt the robe. You see, you too were damaged. Maybe you had more subtle damage. Maybe you had more fun in the damage. But you grew up with the need to be the center of attention. And when someone comes along who seems smarter than you or stronger than you or is getting more attention than you, you don't like it. I think it's no accident that Joseph had to spend years as a slave and then as a prisoner in jail before he was ready to be exalted to the dream that God gave him. And the dream where he could be used by God. It took time. Why? For I do know this. As long as Joseph was wearing the robe, Joseph could not enter into a deep relationship and reconciliation with his brothers. He just couldn't. The robe isolated him. So here's a very important principle. Very important. I hope you remember this. This is so life-giving. Children don't need to be treated equally because they can't. Different seasons of life, all the things that happen. You can't spend the same amount of time with everyone. Those things will ebb and flow in various seasons and various eras. So you can't treat children equally, but here it is. They need to be treated uniquely. They need to be treated uniquely. Every single child in your family is different and unique. And every day there's 2 pressures in the world coming at them. Every day, the pressure to conform and the pressure to compare. The world wants them to conform and the world wants them to compare. But kids are things not to be molded, but they're people to be unfolded. That is our job. We can't treat them equally, but we treat them uniquely. Our goal in life is not to mold kids into our image. Our goal in life is to help them discover what God made them to be.